So it has a Brew, Ginger Lou Cruise mug, bloody amazing weather outside, glorious weather outside. It is sunny, it is March, first bit of proper sun we've had for ages after all the wind and the rain and the rain and the water and the rain and the sea and the rain. So yeah, it's actually now finally starting to dry out. I'm hoping this rest of the week is going to be fantastic as well, because that'd be really great. Hopefully I shall have an interview next week, and hopefully I'll know whether or not I'll have a permanent job and whether or not I can get my own place, and then I can have my own dedicated setup for this kind of stuff, and it'll be fantastic and it'll be great. And yeah, that'll be really, really good. And I also might be getting a MacBook Pro next month, depending, I don't know, maybe. It depends on what happens with my job and many other things. But I did get a Nexus 7, the new one, the 2013 one, which I might do a review on, I don't know. It's a little bit long after the fact, doing a comparison with the old Nexus 7 to the new Nexus 7. However, it is bloody good. If you think about buying a tablet and you've not really got much money, you're like, well, I don't want an iPad because, or I do want an iPad but I can't really afford it, or I don't want an iPad because it's Apple, I hate Apple. Then you just get a Nexus 7 because it's 170 quid on Amazon. Well, 172 I think I paid for it, which is stupidly cheap. And I mean, it's a 16 gig model, perfectly adequate. The screen's amazing. Audio quality is great. It's just fantastic, and it's got a little camera on the front, and yeah, it's just really, really good. There's a few bits of news to go through. I'm just scrolling through my Pocket feed because I've not really planned very much in terms of news, because because there's been loads of news and I kind of haven't really kept up with it. Razer have decided that they don't like MX Cherry switches, and they thought that they would make their own. So they've actually made their own Razer mechanical buttons, switches, and they're now rolling them out to Razer keyboards and stuff like that. It's interesting, because obviously pretty much the only mechanical switches you have are MX Cherry switches, and that's it. There's no other real switches on the market. I mean, there are some other ones, but they're generally crap. You know, they're not the market leader. MX Cherry switches are the be on and end all. And Cherry used to make some really, really sweet keyboards. They now just pretty much sell switches. Their keyboards are now pretty shit. The keyboards they generally sell aren't that great. I have recently got into the mechanical keyboard kind of area, not for gaming but for work. I bought a QPad MK50, I think it was, for work, because I do a lot of typing. I work in IT, and when you're typing out support calls and stuff like that, the cheap, shitty like OEM keyboards that I get given at work, they're Logitech ones, they're the cheapest keyboards you can imagine, and they're awful to type on. So I spent about 100 quid and I got a decent mouse. I got a Rat 3 mouse, I think, because it doesn't really, not really going to use it for gaming, so a Rat 3 mouse is perfectly adequate for what I wanted to use it for. And it's really good. I've got a Rat 7 back here. Actually, it might be a Rat 5. I'm not too sure. It was like a 30 quid model. I think it might have been a Rat 3, maybe a Rat 5. I can't remember. But yeah, like, and that's really, and I upgraded then to say a QPad MK50. I bought MX Cherry Reds, which basically you don't really have any real tactile feedback. They're really easy to press down, and they don't give you much fatigue. But the trouble I find is that I have a lot more mistypings and stuff, and I accidentally press keys a lot more than I should be. I'm thinking MX Cherry Reds really I should be using here when I do gaming, and then buy some MX Cherry Blues for typing because they've got tactile feedback and all sorts of other stuff. But yes, Razer have decided that it's a good idea to make their own range of mechanical switches, which they're now going to roll out into their keyboards. I certainly won't be buying anything from Razer in terms of keyboards or mice at least, because I just don't like them. I don't mind the company because they make some really, really cool stuff. I mean, I've got a Razer mouse pad and I've got a Razer like gamepad thing, and I would probably look at getting the Razer gamepad thing, the Xbox controller kind of thing they do. And I've got a Razer mouse which I use for my laptop, Razer Orchi I think it's called. But I just don't like the keyboards. I don't like the font they use on the keys. I don't generally like Razer because you pay a lot for a name. You don't really pay a lot for the technology and a lot for the build quality and everything else. You pay a lot for the name, especially with their keyboards. They're not that great. I suppose they are not too bad in terms of pricing, but for like things like the Black Widow, I think it's about 120 quid maybe. I'm not too sure. And it's not that great. I mean, I don't really know what they really want to bring to the mechanical keyboard market that's going to be different to anything that MX Cherry will bring, or the Cherry switches will. Something that the Cherry switches can't do that Razer switches can. I don't know. It's interesting. I certainly won't be getting them because it's kind of really pointless. But there you go. I might actually invest in their Razer laptop though, because that thing looks fucking sexy as hell. Now here's a thing that happened. Dell decided that they were going to charge users 16 odd quid to install Firefox, and Mozilla have kicked off shit about it and said, whoa, you're not allowed to do that. Basically, Mozilla, they've always maintained, and they do maintain in the terms and conditions, that you should never pay for Mozilla Firefox. You should never pay for it, even for somebody to install it. You should never pay for it, and they do specifically say that in their terms and conditions. And if you install it, you can't charge customers for it because it's not yours to charge customers for, and B, it's open source, it's free. That's the whole Mozilla Foundation is based on that. And Dell have decided that is not what they agree with, and they've decided to charge customers 16 quid to install it when you configure your laptop. And that is really quite bad. But especially considering Firefox takes like 2 seconds to install. Firefox is so easy to install. So is Chrome. So is any other browser. It's stupidly easy to install. But to be honest, there is no real need for you to install another browser now because I'm going to say it. Internet Explorer 10, Internet Explorer 11, even when it goes. Is it Internet Explorer 12 now? I don't know. But the current version of Internet Explorer is fucking amazing. In actual fact, Internet Explorer is more stable than Chrome, more stable than... yes and no, more stable than Firefox. I find that Firefox is a lot more incompatible with things than Chrome or IE. But the other thing that annoys me about Chrome is it just uses so many resources for just stupid stuff. Like, you can be watching a YouTube video and it'll grab like 500 megs of RAM. You're like, what? What are you fucking doing? It's just bloody 1080p video. You're not bloody... encoding shit. But yeah, Chrome does annoy me because it does rape your resources. I do use Chrome, and I'm actually currently using Chrome now, simply for the fact that it loads web pages faster. Well, not faster, better, I guess. Internet Explorer loads pages faster. If you do a speed test, Internet Explorer does seem to load pages faster. However, one thing I find is fonts aren't necessarily always embedded properly. I don't know whether this is because of the way CSS is implemented within IE, I don't know, or whether or not someone's fucked up and doesn't know how to program. But with Chrome, it seems to... either Chrome does the HTML5 standard really well, or IE does it really crappily, and that's why... and that's why it kind of breaks. I don't know. But yeah, I find that a lot of times when I access things like Engadget in IE and like TechRadar for instance, it changes the font. The font isn't what it's supposed to be, and it's not so clean, and it just looks a bit weird. Roku have kind of made their own streaming stick, a bit like Chromecast, but Roku-ish. This is really quite cool, and actually I'm really looking forward to where things go in the future in terms of devices like this. The problem is with smart TVs, and obviously a lot of these things like YouTube and Hulu and all that kind of stuff is embedded within TVs, and that's great. And and so that means you then don't have to worry about having an extra box for everything. You don't have to then use your Xbox to stream stuff. You then don't have to use a Chromecast or Google TV or any of that stuff to get smart content to your TV, because it's all embedded in a smart TV. The trouble with smart TVs is the hardware's really crap. Like Roku's and stuff like that are generally crap anyway. The hardware that's in there is rubbish. But the TV hardware is even worse. And the trouble is with TVs, you can't just replace them so readily. So there's several things that you have to worry about when you have a smart TV. Is the firmware always going to be up to date? Am I going to be able to get am I going to be able to update apps and things like that? Am I going to be able to get bug updates and all that other kind of stuff? The other thing is, because the hardware's shit, and then when another device comes out that is better and has better hardware, you can't just easily replace... you could replace the whole TV, but it's a big cost. Whereas like a Roku, you can pick up for it's actually $50 for that Roku streaming stick, and you can replace it every year if you wanted to, and it wouldn't matter. And that's really cool, and because it's Roku, it's always up to date, and that's kind of what they do, which is really cool. I don't necessarily think that there's any need for devices like this, because because most devices have things embedded, and because a lot of people already have devices that can do that kind of stuff. So you have a Skybox, which is always updated because it's maintained by Sky, especially in the UK. So you've got a Skybox that includes pretty much all the on-demand TV you need, including YouTube and all this other stuff as well. If you have an Xbox, it does exactly the same. You can stream all that kind of stuff. I think you do need to have Xbox Live though, which is annoying. But the PlayStation 4 can do exactly the same. If you have a PlayStation 4 connected to your TV, you can do all that kind of stuff, all the smart TV kind of elements. And then you've got things like Boxy boxes, dedicated boxes that you can use. So Boxy box, you could use the Chromecast and the Roku, Apple TV, all sorts of stuff. You could even use a laptop and you could have your own media center. All that other kind of stuff means that really smart TVs are kind of more of a gimmick than anything else. When I go out and buy a decent TV, because I will be when I get my own place, I'll go out and buy a 42-inch TV probably, and have it for the front room. Not for TV, but more for films, because I won't pay a TV license because I don't need to really. And I don't agree with the fact that the BBC are so bloody militant when you don't pay your TV license. In terms of you not paying a TV license, you not needing a TV license, so they still treat you like a criminal. But anyway, smart TVs, when I do look at getting a TV, I won't be looking for a smart TV, I'll be getting a TV, and if it comes with smart TV capabilities, I suppose that's an added extra, but I probably won't bother using it because it'd just be crap. I'll probably get a I'll probably just get a Samsung TV because I love their stupidly thin bezels. If you've seen some of the Samsung TVs, most TVs now are stupidly thin bezels, but the Samsungs, wow, they just look so sexual. Because it's literally just a screen with like the tiniest bezel, it's like a millimetre thick, and it's just, I want one now actually, but I don't. Well, I have the money to buy one, I just don't really have the space. I don't really want to add to the clutter that's in this room, because at the moment it is very cluttered. But yes, Roku are producing a stick similar to the Chromecast, which is going to cost $50, which is about 20-30 quid in the UK. Whether or not they'll sell it for 20-30 quid, I don't know, because 20-30 quid is an ideal price point, because people will think, oh, it's only 30 quid, pick it up. But yeah, that 30 quid mark, that'd be fantastic. If they could ship it in the UK for that much, that'd be great. It does run off of micro USB, or mini USB, I think. It connects to your HDMI port like a Chromecast does. I kind of want to see the HDMI standard allow it to power devices. That would be really cool. If you could have a HDMI standard that would automatically detect if a device needed power as part of the pin system or other kind of stuff. I don't really know much about the HDMI standard to know whether or not that's even possible with any new future developments of the HDMI standard. But that'd be fantastic if you could power devices via the TV without having to plug in an extra USB cable from the TV or from another power source. That'd be great, because that's one thing that kind of, is annoying, is that you have to. I suppose the great thing, or the one good thing would be if you could somehow power other devices like Blu-ray players and DVD players and Skyboxes all through the TV, all through HDMI. I don't think that's going to be possible, mainly because of the power draw, and all that power is going to go through one outlet and on one TV, and if it goes bang, then you've fucked everything, so maybe not such a great idea, but there you go. One of the things I'm really excited about is the Xperia Z2. We had the mobile developers conference, mobile web conference, mobile world conference, I think. MWC, I think it was called, in Barcelona. Anyway, and Sony have released a tablet, Xperia Z2 tablet and an Xperia Z2 phone. The phone looks amazing. It does 4K video. And I really want one. I don't care. I just want one now. It does cost 600 quid though as a pre-order, which is a lot of money. But I've got an Xperia Z at the moment, and it's fucking amazing. I do love it. I love the fact that it's waterproof. I've never tried that out because I don't really want to risk it because it's not covered by warranty. Annoyingly, they say that it's actually waterproof, but it's not under warranty. So that if it goes bang, they won't actually cover it under warranty, which is a bit shit, because then if there's a manufacturing fault with the waterproofing on the phone, and they're sort of selling it as and if they're advertising it as a waterproof phone, I'm pretty sure there's some legality there. I don't know. I suppose you'd probably have to speak to a solicitor if it were to go bang and take them to court and see what happens. Yeah, and the one great thing obviously is the fact that it is waterproof. So the Z2 tablet, the specs are ridiculous. It looks really cool, and so the fact it's waterproof is really great. The thing that with waterproof phones is they're fantastic and they're waterproof, and Sony always claim you can kind of use them underwater. You kind of can, and you can't. The trouble with obviously the waterproof phones are great. They are waterproof, but the screens don't necessarily operate as well underwater because water conducts electricity, and the whole way that the touchscreen works nowadays. They are capacitive, aren't they? Are they capacitive touchscreens? I can remember there's capacitive touchscreens and then there's other touchscreens. I can't remember now. It's been so long ago since you used to have to use a stylus with things. Like back in the PDA days, and back in the days of like IBM ThinkPads where you had to use a stylus. But anyway, the way they work is by conduction of electricity through your fingers. And if you're in water, it doesn't kind of work. And if you've ever got water on your phone, like if it's raining and you've got like a drop of water on your phone, you know that sometimes it doesn't always register where your fingers are because it thinks, because water will conduct that electricity and it will start pressing in random places. So you can theoretically use it underwater, I guess, but it probably won't work as well as if it was out of the water. So they are both really good specs. Even if I did have all the monies, I wouldn't go out and buy one just yet because I'd wait a little while for them to iron out some of the stuff, because always the first run of devices always have problems with them. They always end up, having a few problems with them, and then they end up changing the manufacturing process or changing things like the screen to something else. It'll be the same kind of spec, but it will be a different type of screen. So it might be an LG screen this year, or it might be an LG screen at initial launch, and then they might change to something like a Samsung screen, or maybe even one of their own proprietary Sony screens. I don't know whether Sony make screens. I would have thought so. They probably would make mobile phone ones. I'm not too sure. What I'd really like to see is the Xperia, not Xperia or anything, the Nexus 7, the newest, when they release a new Nexus 7, I want that to be waterproof, because that will be fucking amazing. Because the thing is with these, I take this around to work with me all the time, and it's really well built, and it's, really great, and actually there's not so much give in this one as there was in my other one, my old Nexus 7. But because it's so small, I put it in my pocket, and I walk around campus with it, I go around and see users with it, and I would just like that added ability to have it waterproofed, because it would be really, really good, really, really handy to have it waterproofed. Just for, if you're going out in the rain, you've got to meet a contractor and it's raining. Generally they are reasonably waterproof anyway. Electronic devices, if you get a bit of rain on them, they will be fine. Generally, as long as you're not going to drop it in a bucket of water, they're generally alright. But yeah, it just would be nice to have that added peace of mind. It would be nice to have it a bit more ruggeder, maybe. They're pretty rugged anyway. They've got rubberized back, which annoys me. I don't like rubberized backs. But it is reasonably rugged anyway, and you kind of can't really break it unless you literally hammer it, put a hammer through it. But yeah, yes, that's completely off topic and completely off tangent. Now this segment will last ages. The only thing to end on is... there's three things I wanted to cover to end on. Russia have obviously invaded Crimea, as everybody knows. Naughty, naughty Russia. I'm kind of hoping they sort it out diplomatically, because I do not want to go to war with Russia, because that would end in tears and violence and death and destruction, and I don't also want to be enlisted. People joke that won't happen, but I wouldn't be surprised, because the Americans don't give a shit, because it's not going to matter to them too much, because it's Europe. The Russians don't give a shit either, because they're Russian, and the UN doesn't really know what to do, because obviously Russia controls all the oil and all the gas and everything else for all the West to use. So yeah, I kind of want them to sort of bang their heads together and sort themselves out, because I do not want to be at war with Russia, because that will not be good. I've got a lot of time for the Russians, not necessarily for their government. I think their government are fucking stupid and useless and, dictator-ish, because they kind of are, because Putin's been in it for far too long. But there you go. The thing I wanted to cover there was that the Russians are using DDoS attacks, and they're blocking mobile phone signals and all sorts of stuff there, which is really nasty and bad of them, which isn't great. Another thing I wanted to touch on was the BBC, well actually Europol have reported this, which is fucking stupid because it should be common sense. Anyway, they're now advising people not to use public access Wi-Fi to deal with sensitive information. So don't do banking on it, don't do all this other kind of stuff on it. And if you have to be told that, that's kind of really worrying. You shouldn't be using the internet, and you certainly shouldn't be using a PC. But yes, if you're on public access Wi-Fi, yeah, okay, fair enough. Check Facebook, check Twitter, that kind of stuff. Because I mean, they do use SSL encryption, but you could be redirected to all sorts of places. Really, what you should be using if you're on public access Wi-Fi is a VPN and a proxy combined, and you'll be covered. You'll be fine and dandy, and it'll all be great. So yeah, if you do use public access Wi-Fi, just use a VPN. If you work for a living, and your company's got access to VPN, just connect to that because it's free. They pay for that. You don't have to worry about it. Or you could just pay for a third-party service, something like ExpressVPN. You could use Invisible. It's Invisible VPN, I think it's called. You could use there's loads of them. Just Google it, you'll find loads. But yeah, just make sure you do that. The other thing I want to touch on is UPSs because we had an incident at work to do with UPSs, but that's a completely irrelevant thing. I'm gonna get a UPS when I move in my own place. This is all this when. It will be this year. It depends. It just depends on when I get proper work. And once I got proper work, I'll be fine. In a couple of months, I'll be out of this place, and I'll have a proper place in Truro or Plymouth. But yeah, UPSs, which are really, really great for loads of stuff. Not only do UPS, it stands for uninterruptible power supply for those of you that don't know. But what they do is they've got battery inside, and it charges through the battery, and then from that it then goes to your peripherals, so your PC, your monitors and stuff like that. So if the power goes out, you've then got 5-10 minutes to be able to use your PC, so you can safely close it down and you don't lose any work. It's really great in data centers because it means that your switches don't get fried and all that other kind of stuff. And one of the other good things about UPS is everything goes through the UPS. So all the power goes through the UPS, and then UPS acts as a distribution panel for all your power. And it does things like it balances out your power. So a lot of times, especially domestic properties, you find that the power fluctuates loads. It'll go up and it'll go down, and it won't always be 230 volts. And especially old houses, the wiring's dodgy, and you get lots of problems. And some people find that the PC decides just to suddenly switch off or to do all sorts of weird stuff, and the graphics card not work properly, and then they find that if they move sockets or they move around the room or they try the PC at another location, it's absolutely fine. And because it's all connected via UPS, the UPS gives out a set amount of voltages all the time. It's really reliable, and so therefore, even if it's receiving random voltages, it doesn't matter because it's gonna run and run and run because it's got a battery inside. So UPSs are really, really cool. So I might do a separate segment on it, but I just thought I'd give that a bit of a mention because a lot of people don't really know what UPS is. They don't even cost that much money. I think the one I'm looking for is 150 quid, and it will last. Give my setup about 10-minute run time, which isn't too bad. So PC, a couple of monitors, and a load of peripherals. This isn't too bad. But yeah, I think I might do a separate segment on that, and I might do a review of a UPS or the UPS I end up buying. I think that is pretty much all I have to say on the matter. I might do a brew time tonight, I'm not too sure. I do still need to do some IP5 stuff, but it's having the time. I might do a review of this, I don't know. I'm not too sure what's happening, because it is only currently 12:30. So I could probably do a load of videos, but it depends on how long it's going to take me to edit this one together, and then encode it and everything else. So anyway, apart from that, I shall catch you in a later video.